Wow, what is that? Well, soon you're going to know, because
I'm Tuomo and this is the WeeklyGroove.
I'm here at Frankfurt Musik Messe 2017 and I just met Mr. Leigh Stevens, the founder of Malletech company, and he was telling me about their vibraphone.
Yeah, I'm happy for your interest, first of all. Yeah, we started actually as a mallet company long before we had instruments. I was designing instruments with Musser through that whole period, but we started making mallets for vibes. Dave Friedman, Dave Samuels, some of the big names in jazz vibes back in 1982 when I lived in New York City. And they lived in New York City also at the time. And I never thought I'd have my own instrument company. But after working for Musser for many years and designing their two biggest marimbas, the M500 and M450, that period's a long story, but that came to an end, and I decided I wanted to make instruments myself. So I started with my own instrument, the instrument that I play, which is the marimba, and we made marimbas for many, many years, while my friends who played vibes were saying, oh, you have to make a vibe, you have to make a vibe. And we really didn't have the resources at Malletech to go into the research and development. It was a very expensive process, but eventually I did. We started and we came out with our first instrument called a Love Vibe. And it was a very complicated design, a very heavy instrument. It weighed about 160 pounds. I always joke around, it was 80 pounds lighter than the Piper. So that was a good thing. But unfortunately, it was 30 pounds heavier than a Musser M55. So the jazz players really weren't interested, even though they loved the sound. And when I realized that the jazz players wouldn't use a Love Vibe because of the weight, we continued to make that, and we started then working with jazz players, excuse me, on how to make a perfect jazz instrument. So over a period of about 3 years, we did a research and development project, little by little, on the frame, on the bars, on the motor, the vibrato system, the strap, the wheels. Everything really was studied with constant feedback from the vibe players. So we started that in about 2006. We came out with the first Love Vibe in 2009, and then the first Omega Vibe in 2014. So this instrument that we're looking at here really has only been on the market 3 years. 3 years and a few months. So now the new Love Vibe and the Omega Vibe from a distance look very, very similar, but they're very different animals.
Okay, that sounds great. Let's have a closer look for this Omega Vibe now.
Okay.
So I asked Leigh to start with the vibrato system, because as far as I know, nobody else is making it the same way as Malletech does.
Just turn that on. And a lot of the jazz players use it really slow and sexy like that. They play it like something like this. And of course it's speed adjustable. Here's the same thing a little faster. Real slow.
Okay.
The vibe you can see on this video is the Omega Vibe, but Leigh pointed out that they have also another version with different pedal system.
So we have another version of this called a Love Vibe for the classical players. And on that one, these plates are movable through the pedal, so you can actually crescendo and diminuendo and do vibrato in speed. So like a wah-wah pedal for the rockers, you can go wah, 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 like that.
Omega Vibe also has an adjustable dampening system as well as a pedal that can be adjusted.
We substitute a strap here for the, normally it's a metal bar, very quick adjust. You can adjust the pedal instantly, which is a big plus for people. You can move the pedal around if you're lefty or right-handed. You can adjust the, most of the vibes have a single spring. If you talk about the majors like Yamaha, Musser, Adams, all the really, the $50 million companies, they're all looking at it from a budget standpoint. You can, it's okay to publicize this. And so they use one spring. The spring costs about $8, but the bean counters at those big companies, they're trying to do a long damper bar on one spring in the middle. And as a result, this bar flops around like this. So we have two spring towers, so we can adjust it this way and this way. And then we have two adjustments here and here to adjust. This is all patented stuff, of course, because the big companies would squish you if you didn't have a patent.
I'm so sorry, all the big companies, but it was Leigh, not me.
That adjusts the damper this way and that way. So why is that important? Well, when you play a chord like that and then let up the pedal, you want the sharps and the naturals to dampen at the same moment.
Yeah.
And on a lot of instruments, they don't. Or if you do this, bottom and top, you want bottom and top to come out. So it's adjustable this way and that way.
Okay, so what is the material of this damper? I see that it's not the regular felt.
Is this for general audience, or how young are people are going to be listening to this? Teenagers?
Well, it's
and adults?
Yeah, let's say adults.
So you can edit, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I can
you
edit.
You can edit.
Yeah, of course I can edit, but I'm definitely not going to cut this away.
Yeah.
So we went to the finest breast implant company
Okay.
to get very soft, great feeling gel.
Okay, how did you experiment that?
Well, we went and we said we want the same kind of feel as fake tits, but so they have it in all different hardnesses.
Okay.
And so we went
that.
and I did a lot of research on this. Believe me.
Okay, I can see.
And you can feel that it feels great. So, but that's not really the important part about this, because other people had gel dampers. This is the old-fashioned way, just felt, because it's $2, stick it down, done. But a few of the small companies had gels before we did.
Yeah.
What's different about our gel is it's a patented thing that's called progressive dampening. It's concave. Now it gets a little technical here, but if you're talking to a percussionist, they'll appreciate it. So the bars are normally dampened, if you look here, right on the end. That's where it's vibrating most strongly, except for the very center. So if you grab it on the end, what happens is it buzzes, especially with felt.
Yeah.
The original gels were supposed to get rid of the buzz, but they really didn't, because they still dampened on the end. So ours goes like this. If you could see, you might have to do a close-up shot with the pedal down, but it's shaped like this. So it first touches with this little edge here, away from the end, where it's more gently vibrating. And then as you let the pedal up, the breast implant material squishes up and then moves to the end. So we call it progressive dampening. So what it enables you to do is you have an infinite number of levels of dampening. I'm just going to start to dampen a little bit here. I'm letting the pedal up. Shorter, shorter, shorter. I'm letting it up, still letting it up. A little more. You hear how each chord is slightly shorter than the one before? So, and I can do this and take out a note very slowly. If you do that, it'll go bzz, or it'll just shut off.
I also asked Leigh to show a bit the frame of the instrument and how it was constructed.
Yeah, the frame, yeah.
Okay, so what's different there? If you shoot this, if you could maybe from the front, you see all these little holes? Those holes, they're expensive. Holes are expensive in machining because it's machine time. But what it does is it takes out a lot of the weight. So we did experimentation with this with my ex-father-in-law, Roger Clerk, who's a Swiss engineer. And he explained to me that it's the height that was more important than the actual substance of the rail. So we experimented as to how much deflection you got on it, and we started taking out pockets, and we got rid of about 5 pounds of the instrument. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but for jazz players, taking the instrument and putting it in and out of the car every night going to gigs, 5 pounds is immense.
Yeah.
So one of the differences is it's an all aluminum frame. It's rock solid. One of the things that we did, we got rid of all the rivets. Most of the commercial instruments are put together with rivets. And with time, as things flex, they loosen up. So it's all nuts and bolt assembly with lock nuts, steel rails.
If you like the Musser M55 bars the best, the following might be interesting for you.
Musser M55 is kind of
That's the icon.
the icon, and many players compare everything in that. So how would you describe the bars compared to Musser
Well,
M55?
it's interesting. It's a great, you're obviously an educated percussionist, or you know musical instruments if you're saying that. So I used to work for Musser.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was a design consultant for them. I designed their top 2 concert marimbas that they still make now. So I also worked on the Musser M55. I designed the tuning system for the bars and the resonators. This was in the mid-'80s.
Okay.
Now, they've drifted away from that. But I've learned a lot since the 1980s. And so how do we compare? First thing is, the Musser Vibe geometry of the bars is great. The guy who designed that was fantastic. Paul Filkowski was his name, long passed away. But you can change things about it, but you can't improve it a lot. So I started with that geometry. The one thing that's not new on this instrument is the geometry, the actual shapes and lengths of the bars.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that because there are some changes, but the length and the width are identical to an M55.
Which means that you can use different combinations, and that is great. I still have one really important thing to ask.
And does it always come in red?
No, the normal color actually is black. One of the things that we did from a marketing perspective when it first came out, how do we distinguish ourselves?
And it seems that actually color is an important issue. So, what about silver?
It's a natural color of the material.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest way to do it, and that's why everybody does it. And it's fine. It doesn't hurt the sound at all. It's just, it's Toyota, whatever color. So, and nothing against Toyota. Toyota's a great car, but
Yeah. So, what about gold?
color. And then a lot of the companies think it looks really cool to do in gold. We think the gold looks tacky, so we figured, what could we do? So we tried a whole bunch of things, and what looked really hot was jet black. The whole instrument was jet black. And when it came out, people were like, wow, Originally that was the rage, and that's still our standard color. However,
Wow, I would probably take the black one. I want to thank Leigh a lot for this interview. This was great, and instrument looks really cool. If you are planning to get one of these yourself, please contact us at percussion.fi and we will make you a deal. So I'm Tuomo and this is the Weekly Groove. See you next time.